The Prime Minister spoke to John Kerry this morning. It looks more and more John Kerry, the climate envoy for Joe Biden. Australia heading for that net zero by 2050. It seems a certainty now.
I think so. We've got to. The international pressure will be unbearable not to. I don't think you can underestimate John Kerry's significance. Like, he's a full minister, effectively, in that government. On the National Security Committee in the US, was the person who led the US negotiations into Paris. The big leader summit, of course, is coming up
in April.
In April 22, the Major Emitter Summit, so it's all precursor to that. There's a lot of talk that the US will be announcing a new 2030 target. So yes, there's been the focus on the 2050 target, but agreement on net zero by 2050 means how you're going to get there. There's talk that the US might have somewhere like a 50% reduction by 2030, and I think once net zero by 2050 gets settled, the pressure is really going to come onto Australia for a lot stronger 2030 target, especially if the US moves that way on April 22.
What a massive shift we've seen in this debate from last year, Trump administration planning to pull out of Paris, and now Joe Biden, John Kerry.
Absolutely, and I think the leadership of the country here is getting along really well with the new administration in the States. And from everything I hear, the calls have been excellent, including this morning's. And I think John Kerry understands where Australia is on this and the progress it's made vis-a-vis other like countries, you know, where Canada has made no progress on hitting its Paris targets. We've made significant progress. So I think also we're working across a range of fronts, and the US would understand that we've worked with them on getting Matthias up at the OECD. We're doing work together on the Quad. So the Morrison government's more than punching above its weight. And it's going to make its contribution on a climate target
PM,
as well.
You know the PM better than most. He's very pragmatic when he needs to be. And
yes.
There's got to be a shift. There's a shift.
If you look back to the last budget, they're already going down this path with funding the spine that runs around the country, copper string across the top of Australia. This is going to unleash a lot of technology that's going to help us get to these targets.
David, Ben, thank you. My apologies. We're a bit shorter today. So much around, but we'll talk to you again soon.
The bottom 20% get nothing. They're really unfair tax cuts.
People want to see much stronger action from the government when it comes to climate change.
It's no coincidence that we have a wages crisis in Australia.
Transitioning to net zero emissions, it doesn't seem like there's much room for gas.